served as the president when we first raised the issue of having a dialogue about these issues, because everything that was happening in the country was so divisive, and it was important to the presidents involved in the NASCUMC organization that we have an opportunity to talk about what it means to be a United Methodist institution dealing with these sorts of issues, because they're important to the world, they're important to our colleges, and they're important to the church. The colleges and universities of the church need to be leaders in this regard. We have the resources, we have the minds that think about these things, and we have the young people who are going to be living in the world and making a difference in everything that they do as it relates to these issues. So we are very excited to be part of the entire conversation.
I believe that the colleges must lead the way. We are I feel, the educated populace that has as part of the responsibility to bring the critical issues that face our society to our students, certainly, but also to the church at large. I don't think we can any longer stand back and shy away from the issues when it is our responsibility to ensure that there's critical analysis and thought given to these kinds of issues.
Before 1945, no one was talking about this. And now the United Nations, the different universities, different European Union, corporations, and our schools, colleges, universities, and the church cannot be left behind. I think this initiative by NASCUM is a very important one too, so that our universities, colleges, and schools affirm that what they do has to go to this important concept.
The whole justice and dignity movement that has been spawned out of this organization, I think, is timely, it's important, and it's critical to where we're going as a church and as a people.
At this moment in time, when we've seen during the summer such tragedy occur in our churches, in our communities, and across our nation, it is truly breathtaking and refreshing for the United Methodist Church to engage in these conversations with our various communities, giving everyone an opportunity to speak out about justice and equity and dignity. And so for our educational colleges and universities to provide that forum, what a great community service that we do for all of our places.
At this point in time, with all the violence and continued terrorism and the abuse of children and women, of the call for justice and dignity for people who are not like us, if you will, and not like me, if you will. And so we have a particular calling, I think, to address the issues that confront them and ensure that they have a voice within our church.
Today, when we talk about dignity and justice, it's also related to human rights. And that's a very new development for us in history. And it's, many institutions, again, many countries are recognizing the importance of recognizing the different types of humans. When you say humans in general, we don't pay attention to the differences. And for people, it's important to affirm who they are, what options do they make in their lives, and how they want to be part of the university, part of the churches, part of their communities, and be recognized by who they are. And I think this is very important. This is a unique thing that's happening today.
This is a time in the nation where these kinds of conversations are long overdue, and conversations are so important for people to build relationships on common issues, common goals. We're more alike than we are different, and we often find that out through conversations. And these conversations are often difficult. I have this term called hard conversations. That means honest, appropriate, respectful, and direct. And if we have these hard conversations about topics that are very uncomfortable, it's the only way we're going to make progress. And there's a saying that says, only a few think that they can't change the world, but generally it's a few that change the world.
We get greatly disturbed about how we treat other people who are unlike us. And I believe a lot of it's because we don't understand. We don't understand them. We don't know their stories. And the opportunity to have conversation, the opportunity to be intentional to hear the stories and to share our own stories will help us become a better part, or at least a more pervasive part of a broader community.
In a community, or even communion, cannot happen without communication. So conversation, dialogue, when we give and take, when we teach and learn, when we recognize others and are recognizing the way we are in a church setting, as well as in a university setting, this conversation in which we give and take, we learn from each other, and we build something together. The result is not going to be what I want. The result is not going to be only what you want, but it will be something that's common and important for both of us and all those participating conversations. Conversation is fundamental, and I think we're moving in this direction.
Without conversation, there can be no resolution. No one should have the power or authority to send out edicts and say, so it will be, because it never changes the culture or the climate in which the issues are found. Unless the heart is engaged, along with the mind and spirit and soul, these things will continue to be a part of us. The only way to, I feel, is to have a conversation not only with ourselves, but with those folk who are having the difficulty or having the issues. They must be a part of the conversation as well. Otherwise, it's a one-sided conversation, which is no conversation at all.
Without conversation, no understanding will ever happen, and church growth is not going to happen. And we're faced now in a world of spiritual but not religious. And so we have lots of young people who are out there trying to understand their spirituality, but they're not nested in any denominational tradition. And that's why we need to have this conversation. It's good for the colleges, but it's even better for the church.
We're hoping that these conversations will actually open Bennett up and unfold our presence in our community.
One of my major initiatives on the campus is for us to be able to face outward in Austin, Texas, because Houston-Tillotson sits on the second highest hill in Austin, and it's a crown jewel for the Austin area, a growing, booming area with the same interests and the same initiatives and the same challenges as the nation. And Houston-Tillotson, as a historically black college or university, we're very versed in these types of issues to be able to serve the underserved population. So for Houston-Tillotson to be engaged in these conversations in a growing area like Austin is very exciting.
We get up every morning, we turn on CNN, and we hear all what's going awful in the world. And sometimes you feel like if we could just sit down and appreciate and recognize that people at their heart and their core are good and they want to do good things, how can we help them? How can we help ourselves find that? And conversation is a good place to start.
I hope that to bring to my college a sense of responsibility, a sense of caring, a sense of thought, a sense of calling, that I want my students, I want my faculty, I want the administration, I want the board all to understand that we ought to be a part of this great need, if you will, and that we ought to be prepared to bear the brunt of whatever comes to us, because true leadership responds in times of crisis and does not consider what the alternatives are.